Hello, 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 and welcome to what? The Life Strategy Show with your host, Maxine Pearl Phillips. Go ahead, reach out, let someone know that we're on. We have a phenomenal guest tonight, and you know all my guests are special, so it's no different. It's always the same. I have special guests coming on to drop platinum nuggets. But let's talk about levelless. What is levelless? Levelless is about succeeding without levels. It's about you knowing your worth, you being able to advocate for yourself, and you continue to succeed on your own terms. We have Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for chiming in. Yes, so go on and let us know where you're chiming in from, what city, what state, and join in the conversation tonight because we have Marcus Ogden, a former NFL player with us, who's going to be talking about strategies that he put in place that has helped him to overcome some challenges. And as you know, what I put out there, he went bankrupt, but he didn't stay down. He has gotten up. He's a trooper. When he's got that energy to keep on going, going, and going. So that's what Levelers is about always continue to succeed on your terms. And that's why I always say succeed without levels. You don't have to do what society tells you to do, but you do what your gifts, your talents, and your abilities that you were instilled with when you were born, and you know how to do them. So, what I want to talk to you about tonight is Marcus. Oh my gracious, I never can forget when I actually had an opportunity to meet him. But we'll talk a little bit more about that story once we have him on the screen. But in the meantime, let's bring up Marcus Ogden. And then Marcus and I, we're going to have this phenomenal conversation. He's coming on. He's coming on. There it is. We don't want technology to get in the way with us.
How are you?
I'm good, Marcus. How are you doing? It's always great to see you.
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. It's a great day here in Raleigh, so no complaints.
Exactly, exactly. All right, all right. So listen, I know you have a podcast yourself, Getting Authentic with Marcus Ogden. So now I'm gonna have you to get authentic with Maxine tonight.
I
How
look
about
forward.
that?
I look forward to it.
Well, listen, I gave a little bit about you and the challenges that you encountered. I know that you're an NFL football player. So tell us exactly when you decided to retire.
Mhm. So when I was decided to retire, Maxine, was 2008, and my father had just passed away about 2 years before that. And unfortunately, I struggled immensely with transition. I became a pain popping addict as far as painkillers and drugs and things of that narcotics. I was an alcoholic. I was depressed. I was just full of anxiety and stress and issues and all this type of negativity. And it was hard for about 6 months. And then finally, in 2008, about 6 months later, I founded my construction company, Caden Premier Enterprises. And we grew to be the largest African American owned subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland, Maxine, for 2 years. But unfortunately, because I wasn't prepared to handle that success, it handled me. And I actually ended up going bankrupt and losing everything that I owned in 2013 because of my ego, my bravado, and making some really, really bad mistakes.
Listen, you just named that ego and making, those decisions that you made, you realize later that it cost you, and it not just cost you a little, but it cost you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
love the
sure
fact
did.
that you are authentic. I love that because you just shared with us the challenges that you were facing at that time. But Marcus, you didn't stay down. You have gotten up. I know I met you in 2016,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
when you
correct.
first wrote the book.
That's correct. We wrote our first book in 2015, October, called Sleepless Nights, the NFL, a Business and a Family. And that did very well. It helped get us some speaking jobs going. And then I went to a program, Maxine, in 2018 at Penn State called NAPSA. And that program, led by my coach, Brad Mitchell, really helped to reshape, recalibrate and revigorate me and who I am as an individual. And because of that, I really, really, really had a lot of success going forward. And as a result of that, we now have spoken for over 50 Fortune 500 companies as a speaker, over 50. We've worked for corporate brands, universities, real estate, mortgages, title, finance, insurance, you name it. And we've been very fortunate to grow a really successful brand through speaking, coaching, consulting, being a brand ambassador, and of course, as you mentioned earlier, podcasting.
I think that is phenomenal. So you're going to share with us succeeding what in challenging times, succeeding, how to overcome some of these obstacles and the challenges that we are faced with. So let's start out talking about some of the strategies that you put in place. We know you just attended that phenomenal workshop and that phenomenal seminar, which got you started. But what has kept you going?
So, Maxine, that's a great question. What's kept us going is I have been very fortunate to surround myself with a team of people who are just sensational in every way. From an internal manager, an external manager, a social media team, a trademark and patent person, great website SEO person, great bookkeeper, great accounting firm, great podcast sponsorship, go out and get, individual. And as a result of those people, I've been able to do what I do best, which is speak, oversee things, work with them. But at the same time, right, I have trust, full trust in everyone that I work with, right? From everybody that I just mentioned earlier, we have full trust. And trust is built off three main things: competency, reliability, and having people's best interests. If you listen to this show, do these three things when you hire people: verify, trust, then let them soar. Most people, Maxine, get hung up on the trust aspect. They never trust who they hire or who they do business with or who they work with. As a result, they're always trying to micromanage. They're always trying to look over their shoulder, or can they do it right? Can they get it done right? Can they do it this way? Can they do it my way? Well, here's the thing. If you're paying somebody, right, Maxine, and you're micromanaging them or you're overlooking them all the time, you're wasting payroll.
You got that right. Marcus, you just dropped. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, did you catch those nuggets that was just dropped? First of all, trust. If you're going to hire them, you don't hire them if you're not going to trust them. I mean, that should already be a part of the interviewing process, first and foremost, or a part of the resume, or part of the background check. And then secondly, don't micromanage them. The worst thing you can do is hire someone and then micromanage them, because then you're not able to delegate. You're still trying to carry all the workload yourself. So that is phenomenal strategies that you're dropping right here, Marcus. So tell us, what strategies or what information would you like to share with the viewing audience about encouraging, as they go through these succeeding in uncertain times? What encouragement would you give them?
Great question, Maxine. I'll tell people to succeed in challenging times, you have to focus on the end game, or AK, focus on the end result that you desire. So many people get caught up in the day-to-day minutia, the day-to-day monotony, the day-to-day repetitiveness. And unfortunately, if that's what you're focusing on, then the end game is not being looked at properly. And in that regard, you're not going to hit what I feel in so many ways exactly what you're trying to get. And so what I tell people all the time is, if you're struggling or you're trying to succeed or be fulfilled in challenging times, you need to sit down, you need to really write out what it is you want to achieve or what are your objectives, recalibrate yourself, put blinders on, and focus on the end game. And that's something that I was going through a really challenging time last year, really challenging. And what got me to where I'm at today, Maxine, was focusing on the end game and not getting caught up in the day-to-day minutia, arguments, the difficulties, because I knew if I got caught up in that, the end game would never be achieved. So if you're listening, focus on the end game and be focused like a laser that can cut through a diamond. When you have the type of
Ooh,
precision focus, everything else will take care of itself.
I love the way you gave just that analogy. A laser going through a diamond, the precision cut, and that precision cut is clarity. You've clarified exactly, your vision, how you're going to achieve it, who you need to be a part of it. Some people call them tribes, some people call them teams, whatever definition you want to use for them. It has to be your group of the individuals you're surrounding yourself with that you can trust to carry your vision forward. They have to be on board. They must be on board and they must understand your vision so that they can help you carry it forward. I
Mhm.
love that. Now, when you say end game, I
Mhm.
know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. But what if there's some individuals out here who are new to becoming a business owner or an entrepreneur? What do you mean by end?
So what I mean, Maxine, is you need to focus on the why of the
There
reason
you
that you
go.
started in the business, right? What is your
Right.
why? What is your reasoning? It goes back, 3,000 plus years. Aristotle said one of the five keys to being a successful business person or leader is reason. Know the reason for why you are embarking on your journey. If you're embarking on a journey with no destination or repeat destination, I have a saying, in business, if you have a finish line, you're screwed. So if you have a destination, that's awesome. You should. And then once you get there, what's the next destination and the next destination? Because
Right.
unfortunately, I got to my destination with Caden. I became an 8-figure business owner. But unfortunately, how? In 90 days after I got to my destination, because I took my foot off the gas, or I just parked my ship in the harbor and I didn't continue to voyage and sail for new lands and new heights, the ship sunk. And I sunk right along with it. So, what I mean by the end game, Maxine, is what is the why, or AKA, as Aristotle said, what is the reasoning behind why you're doing what you are doing? When you know that and that's crystal clear, that's the end game you need to focus on.
I love it. I love it. It always come back to the why. It always come back to the why. And there are individuals out there, they are how people, HOW. How do I do it? How am I going to get it done? But they have not understood the why. Some individuals are what needs to get done? When does it need to be done? But they haven't understood the why. So, as a business
Mm-hmm.
owners, we must understand our why, our reasoning behind it. So, I love the way that you just explained that you must be crystal clear. And if you're not crystal clear, it's nothing wrong with asking someone to listen to you and bounce those ideas off of them, or you have a business coach, you have a mentor. So there's other people that you can also confide in to help you get that to be crystal clear. Or do as Marcus just stated, he through a program. So sometimes you have to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. All right. So that's the encouraging piece. One of the things that, because I work with youth, and I know at one point that you worked with a lot of youth as far as the football was concerned, and you did a lot of inspiring them. So, what would you tell your 17-year-old self, knowing what you know now? What would you tell your 17-year-old self?
What I know now, I would tell my 17-year-old self to get a coach and start to figure out and really comprehend what I want in life. And not just a coach for sports, but
Right.
a business coach. Someone to help me figure out what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what are my opportunities, and what are my threats. And let's go after it. Because again, like you said, you're never too young or it's never too early to invest in yourself. I've coached kids that are young as 12, 13 years old, life stuff. And now I have one kid, it's actually brothers. I started with one when he was 12, the other one he was probably, I think, 13 or 14. And now one's in college, one is actually now going into his junior year in high school. I've been coaching them now for 3 years. And so they find immense value in bouncing ideas off of me for their own life and really understanding what life looks like now, but how things can change. And I'm really always impressing upon them, understand what you do well. And once you figure that out, right, Maxine, build
That's
off of
right.
that. Build off of that.
That is so right. That is so correct. And that's one of the reasons why I do what we call the Highlands Ability Assessment, because it helps them to hone in on what are they great at in their everyday abilities and strengths. And based on that, yes, get a coach, get a career coach, get a business coach. It depends on, and not only that, with this assessment, it helps you to hone in on based on who you are and the abilities that you were born with, how do you need to map that into your career? What is going to be the best career path for you, the best profession for you? Every profession is not for everyone. Every organization is not for everybody. So you even need to know what's the best organization to use those abilities that you were born with, or what degree plan. And Marcus, I know you went to Howard and you
Mm-hmm.
accomplished your degree. So when you were even accomplishing your degree, did you know what it was that you were going to go for? Or did you just go and then happen to say, oh, let me select this? So how did you come about determining the degree plan you were going to accomplish?
Great question. So I started out at Howard wanting to be a doctor. I majored in biology. Between football practice and just my pure lack of knowledge in the field, it did
Uh-huh.
not work. And then what I decided to do, and I was planning to do, and I was almost going to do it when I left college, was be a financial planner. Because my dad worked in the financial planning industry for many, many years. He got his degree. He went to Howard, got his degree there, went and got his master's at the University of Maryland economics. So I actually interned at Merrill Lynch in Washington, D.C. during college. It was my sophomore year. It's actually my redshirt sophomore year, my junior year. I interned at Merrill Lynch downtown D.C. on K Street, worked in the blue chip stock and bonds room, and I loved it. It was great.
Mm.
Worked for Al Cobra, and I learned a lot about investing and life and business and all that kind of stuff. It was absolutely sensational. So I really enjoyed that whole process, and I
Mhm.
enjoyed all that I did in that regard. So absolutely, I knew what I was going to do after moving from biology to business. I knew I was going to embark on being a financial planner on work on Wall Street.
Wow, that's awesome. Go from biology to financial. That's a prime example of why it's so important that our young individuals understand what they're already gifted at the earliest age possible. So you don't have to make those what jumps. You don't have to cross over that hurdle. You're already on that right path, and it takes away a lot of those extra years and financials that you've already put toward the degree. So I love the fact that you realized that there was another love that you had, another purpose that you had, another ability that you could use, and you start using it. So I see that we have a question here. So Marcus, look like someone wants to know, uh, why do so many of our athletes not understand the financial windfall that they are about to receive? I'm not sure what the financial
I understand it perfectly. So
okay.
the person is asking, how come more athletes aren't prepared that when they get drafted, let's take football in the
Okay.
first round, you're going to get a 7 or 8 or $10 million signing bonus, right? And what
Right.
happens is, that's a great question. Unfortunately, sometimes the athletes really are not focusing on understanding financial knowledge or information, or income versus expenses, and how to budget and how to plan. And when you don't have that information, and it's not something that you grow up wanting to learn a lot about, then you get to college and you're playing football and you're having fun and you're doing great and you're going to be a potential first round draft pick. You're focusing on the game and all the things that go along with it. And a lot of times it gets
Mhm.
overlooked, unfortunately. And by the time that you get the money, and if you haven't learned about how to handle money, then you're not ready to handle money. So I remember getting drafted by the Jaguars, and I remember I did an interview with CNN Money probably a while back, probably about maybe 5, 6 years ago. And I found my old budget. I had written out a budget for, I knew I was making $13,000 a week pre-tax in 2003. And after tax, I made about 10. So I was making about 40 grand a month. And my expenses were probably somewhere around like 4 grand a month. So I would pay all my bills. I would put money away into savings, into investments, I bought some real estate, I bought a home. But I knew about all that learning from my father. So the NFL is trying to do a better job of educating players on it. But no matter how hard the NFL or college football tries, the athlete has to make the first step towards wanting to learn how to, it's an old saying, how to make money work for you, right? So
Yeah.
like even take me right now, I'm going through a couple different changes. And so what I'm looking to do is I'm buying a home. And after I buy the home, I'm going to get into financial planning and how to budget and how to allocate and investing and having this fund and having an emergency fund and having, investment fund
Yes.
and how to prep for taxes, all these things. And this is why I try to teach young athletes that don't forget about Uncle Sam. If you have
That's right.
a $20 million check coming, at least, depending on, it could be 20 to as high as 40%, depending upon what state you're
Yes.
in, do you have children or not, it's going to go to Uncle Sam. So you got to be prepped for that. So to answer the question most concisely, it's that athletes do not usually prep to understand how to handle the money. And by the time they get the windfall of money, it's really hard to teach a young athlete how to manage and how to save and how to budget if you give them all this money and they haven't learned it before. It's like trying to teach somebody how to do karate if they've already been beat up. They're like, oh man, yeah, I want to learn, but like, man, I got my butt kicked, so I'm not really probably gonna do it. Well, same with an
Right.
athlete. You give them a whole bunch of money and you're trying to teach them how to learn how to use it and make it work for them. It's usually too late.
Yeah, and and April being financial month, so this is a prime example to even be talking about finances because my son, I remember him telling me, "Mom, always keep your budget. Always keep a budget so cash coming in and where the money is going to and how much things are allocated for." And so what you just stated, Mark, is the fact that not only just athlete, but you need to do this in your daily life. You need to understand how to
Absolutely.
budget, period, and how to do the ins and out of your finances so that you don't find yourself even as a day-to-day windfall without even being an athlete. And so I love the fact that you say you were working with the young adults, in football, and that's an opportunity to start talking to them about finances and how to use those allowances that you're getting and how to allocate and how to stretch that dollar. So I think
Well,
this
well, that's awesome, Maxine. You said that, and even right now with our business, with our brand, right? I
right.
have a bookkeeper. I do my book. Well, she does my book reconciliations every month, right? When I
Same
first
here.
started in the business, I didn't have that, so I didn't know what I was making. I knew none of that, right? So now I
Right.
know where I'm making profit each month, right? I have a fractional
Right.
CFO that now has for me a cash flow projection off of my business so I can see what I should be bringing in each month, what I should be pursuing that I'm trying to land, what has
Right.
been confirmed, what has been collected, what has been partially collected. And I can see all that now. And I just started
Right.
working with her about a month ago. So I have a beautiful cash flow projection off Excel. And I have one from my businesses that I own a part of. So I can always see that ahead of time. And my financial planner has access to that Excel spreadsheet. My accountant knows what I made, what I grossed, and so does my bookkeeper, and so does my tax guy, and all these things. It's a lot of moving parts,
Arts.
but what it does, right, Maxine, it gives me the comfort to know, okay, well, one thing is to make money. It's nothing like this lady said, and I agree with her wholeheartedly, to keep it. So if
That's
you
right.
make a bunch of money, right, if you make $1 million, but you spend 1.1, what good is it? you're always in the hole. So
That's
I
right.
teach the athletes and I teach even myself to know what I make, what I gross, awesome. But I want to know, what do I have in the bank or investments or put away, whatever that I'm keeping, not just what I'm earning. Because earning money is one thing,
Right.
keeping money is a whole nother beast.
Now, listen, you need to say that a third time, not just twice. People need to get that three times because that is so critical. And that's in any point, anybody in any profession, and any walk of life. Is not
Mm-hmm.
just an athlete, it's not just a business owner, it's in life, period. So
Mm-hmm.
making money is one thing, but keeping the money
Is a
is something
beast.
else.
It
And
is.
then investing.
Maxine, have you ever noticed how easy it is to spend money,
Oh,
but how
yes.
hard it is to make money?
Oh,
You go
yes.
out, buy gas, buy food, go that you swipe a card here, swipe a card there, swipe, 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 swipe. This is why so many people get into massive credit card debt. Swipe here, swipe there, swipe here, swipe there. And you don't think about it, and it keeps compiling, and next thing you know, you're in massive debt.
That
So I
is correct.
teach people, learn how to make money, and for goodness sakes, have multiple streams of income. Don't rely on just one. If you rely on just one, if that source dries up, you're in a really bad place.
Yeah. And again, that's another platinum nugget. Nancy says, great analogy. She said, great analogy. Teaching karate, oh, to someone who is
It's
already beat
been
up.
beat up. Yeah, they're not gonna want to learn. They're
Right.
like, oh, I got my butt kicked. I don't want to do this. You give an athlete a bunch of money, they're like, why do I need to learn about money now? I've already got it, right? So it's like, that's what we say. It's better to teach the athletes young. It's kind of like, if you want to learn a language, they say teach children a
Right.
language young because their brain can pick it up. Like my daughter speaks very good Spanish because she goes to a dual language school. She's only 8 years old. She's been taking Spanish since she was 4.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. Teach people while they're young. That's going to make the most impact for the better.
And as you're teaching them, then they get the exposure, they become aware, they can have an opportunity to apply it, and they don't have that fear of being embarrassed because they're not doing something properly. It's only once we
Correct.
become older then we don't want to do something because then we feel like there's a shame attached to it, opposed to, wait a minute, it's called a learning curve. We have a learning curve, we must continue to learn. Look like
Correct.
we had another question. Also wondering, any thoughts on the NFL deals and also pushback? I don't know. Angel Reese got from social media for being authentically herself. I don't know if
Oh,
that's pertaining to the young lady with the pointing. Was that? I don't know
yeah.
if
You
that's
talk
what
about
that's.
yeah. You talk about like the first part of the question was what I think about like the NFL deals. That was the first question.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So the NFL, it's really different now. Like the deals are really, it's not like it was when I played. So unfortunately, one deal that the Cleveland Browns did with Deshaun Watson, giving him a fully guaranteed 5 years, $230 million contract, really has messed up a lot of what they call the market deals in the NFL because other players now, like Lamar Jackson and other great football players, now want to get paid what Deshaun Watson's getting paid. And
Mhm.
a lot of the other owners are not coming to the table saying, yep, Deshaun, I know you're better than, yes, Lamar, I know you're better than Deshaun, but I'm not giving you a fully guaranteed contract. And
Right.
that's what's happening right now. So the NFL is in a really interesting place. A lot of deals I feel, are getting done, but it's not the same as when I played because nobody had guaranteed contracts fully.
Right.
And some players have been getting that now. And it's really making the market more difficult for teams to get players because players, rightfully so, want the maximum amount. And they feel if they're better than another player, they got more money than them, they're not going to take a deal.
Right.
So it's really a lot of things happen. Like, for example, Daniel Jones, the quarterback of the Giants, got a 4-year, $160 million contract. Well, that's $40 million a year. Well, Lamar Jackson, who has gone to the playoffs, won a few games, has better stats. The Ravens gave him a 1-year contract for $32.6 million. So basically, he's getting paid $7.3 million less than Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones is getting $40 million a year. And so now
Mm-hmm.
Lamar doesn't want to play for the Ravens. He wants to go somewhere and get a trade. So what's happening, I feel, is that some players' deals are messing up the market. And again, I don't blame the players.
Right.
They're supposed to get full amount. You know what I mean? That's the whole process, right? But it comes down to what a team is willing to invest in a player. So that's just where it is. The NFL right now is not the same as when I played, because the deals, nobody got fully guaranteed contracts. People weren't, trading and going to teams like this a lot. Like, they didn't have franchise tag, exclusive, non-exclusive. I mean, like, they've really added a lot of things to the CBA agreement as a result
Right.
of that.
Yeah, so I'm going to reel us back in because I don't want to totally focus on the NFL and what the NFL is playing, the players and all that, because I want to understand, because remember, these are life strat. This is a life strategy show. So that
Uh-huh.
question right there took us in a totally different way. But I want to hone back in on the life strategies that you've used to help overcome challenges that individuals can also put in place. But
Uh-huh.
when we start talking about the NFL players and then the monies that they're making, as a person, when you are employed by an organization, you are to advocate for yourself.
Sure.
And so there is nothing wrong with that NFL player asking for whatever they feel that they are worth, because levelness is
Uh-huh.
about understanding your worth. Levelness
Uh-huh.
is about removing all of the levels. Levelness is all about defining what success looks like for you and then advocating on your behalf so that you can continue to succeed. So I get that NFL player asking for the monies of what they feel like that they're worth. But what I want to now, not necessarily switch gears, but let's help individuals who are out there just with general employment understand you need to be doing some of the same things, asking for your worth, advocating for yourself,
Uh-huh.
helping your organization to understand the value that you're bringing in, the bottom that you're adding to the bottom line by
Uh-huh.
doing your job, by having the values, by producing, by achieving. So let's help these individuals out here, because there's a lot of layoffs going on right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We got silent quitting, so you got all these things that's going on. So help our viewing audience to understand what are some of the things that they can do that you had to overcome, and some of the individuals that you even now coach overcoming in order to keep you on track so that you can succeed on your terms.
So I have a saying: what you say about yourself builds your self confidence. What others say about you should build your book of business.
I love it.
Anyone trying to really get top dollar or get what they are worth, I'm going to challenge you. Sit down and think about 5 people that you know that you've
Mhm.
done business with and that like your work and how you do things, your style, what you bring to the table, etc. Think about one word that each person would use to describe you and how you do business. That will
Right.
give you 5 words to help you start to shape when you're talking to people at your job, at your company, trying to position yourself to quote unquote sell yourself. You can use those 5 words to say, well, here's just some people that I've done business with. Think about me and my work. That's one thing
Mhm.
you can do. Another thing you need to do is gather testimonial letters.
Mhm.
Testimonial letters are going to move you up the ladder faster than anything else you can think of. Because again, nobody likes being the first over the fence. And nobody likes paying top dollar for subpar talent. So testimonial letters verify, go back again, verify, trust, soar. Verify is what testimonial letters do for you. It verifies you to that employer, to that company, to that potential client, that hiring you or promoting you or whatever the case may be with you is the best thing they can do, because your work and your value is top notch and it speaks for itself.
Love it. I found a letter, Marcus, back in April of 9th of 2016 that I wrote on your behalf. So when you talked about a testimonial letter, and I was just going through my files and everything, and I'm talking about my encounter with you. I'm talking about the quality of work that you did. I'm talking about the responsiveness that you have always given. All of this is back in a letter that I wrote back in 2016 as a testimonial to who you are and the quality of work that you do. So when you just said that, it reminded me is that I printed that letter off today and here it is, and you're talking about it. So it's so true. So that's another platinum nugget, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it. You need to get these testimonials. You got videos, it can be written testimonials, it can be through your LinkedIn profile, but you need to get those testimonials.
Oh,
That's going
absolutely.
to help
I mean,
you.
we have a link, Maxine, called Plus One, where you can basically tie in video testimonials and or written. You can tie the
Okay.
written testimonials into your website, and it allows them to rate you 5 star, up to 5 star, how they liked
Okay.
you. They can leave a comment, who they are, who they work for, where they heard you, etc. And we use that link and we give it out to people, so when we're finished, that they can utilize it to help create more opportunity to get us on bigger stages. And that's what it does. And that's how our podcast has grown to the top one. I mean, Maxine, we're in the top 1% most
Yes,
popular podcast. And we got that in 7.5 months because people are giving us 5 star ratings. They're leaving reviews. They're telling people. We had two big celebrities that we published back to back. Steve Trevino, who was a comedian, he has stuff on Showtime, Netflix, Amazon. He
hmm
posted on his Twitter and his Instagram and his Facebook that he loved our interview. It was great. Then we had a gentleman named Alexio Gibson, who is the CEO of CMOS Transformation. He
I
was
just
on
saw
Shark
that.
Tank, and
Yes.
he's partners with Kevin Hart and Mark Cuban. Well, now Alexio shared on his story, in that regard, he shared, hey, boom, Marcus's podcast. It was awesome. It was great. And now he now follows me. I follow him. So we're 1 degree away from Kevin Hart or Mark Cuban maybe coming on our show, because why? Alexio was on our show and he loved it. So again, it all goes back to that whole process of, people need to know and verify that you are who you say you are.
That's right. Oh my gracious. Talking about a platinum nugget, ladies and gentlemen, I trust that you wrote that down. I trust that you're going to try that plus one. I trust that you're going to be getting these testimonials. You're hearing it firsthand. This is something that you can implement right away. It's not something that you need to wait on. That's what the life strategy show is all about. It's helping you to what? Become unstuck. It's helping you to move forward in your life, in your business, in your career. Whatever it is that you're, dabbling in, you'll be able to do it. Don't just sit there. Take action. I always say a plan are just words on a piece of paper until you start executing it. So Marcus has just given us some great information on how we can go about executing, getting our ratings up, getting our testimonials. So don't overlook these nuggets that was just dropped. Marcus, thank you. That was just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody just really understands that, you've got to position yourself today with maximum value and understand your unique value proposition, aka unique selling proposition, or aka your unique buying reason. Why should somebody hire you or work with you over someone else? And when you can answer that clearly and crystal clearly, now you got something special.
Yeah, and the thing about it, Mark, is not everyone can answer that. Not everyone can do it by themselves. They want to, but perhaps maybe they just cannot. So
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why you just indicated earlier. Thank you. You've made this Monday marvelous. That's Nancy Nugent Lyles is telling us. Thank you, Miss Maxine and Marcus. We made her day. Which that's what we do. That's what we're here for, is to drop these nuggets. But as I was saying, there are individuals who want to be crystal clear on their purpose and their why, but they don't know how to be. They know how to explain it, but they need someone else to take that explanation and help them to put it into words, form it into words. So, what suggestions would you give them on that?
Hire a coach. If you can't hire a coach, if you don't have the fiscal means, which we all sometimes don't, because I sure the heck
Right,
did in 2016, I met Maxine, find
right,
a mentor who can give you advice every now and then. Don't blow them up. Don't harass them. Don't do what I did. I met somebody in 2014, and he was started to become a mentor of mine, but I pushed in too early. Said, "Hey man, can you help me get into some speaking jobs?" He said, "Man, Marcus, I don't really know your work that well yet. I can't do that," and that crushed the relationship before it even started. So don't, if you have a mentor, ask them for help every now and then, and be reasonable in your requests. Now, if you hire a coach and pay him money, ask what the hell you want to ask them because you're paying them.
right.
That's
That's
fine,
right.
right?
Right.
But
That's
again,
right.
either get a mentor or hire a coach and position yourself where you know you can always go to somebody to give you sound advice. And again, listen to understand. Don't listen to respond to them. That's a big, big difference.
Big difference. Big difference. And that listening to understand, there are several ways to listen. If you're listening with understanding, then that's called active listening. Whereas if you're listening to respond, you're not actively listening. You're thinking about how you're going to respond. But
That's
when you
right.
actively listen, then you have the understanding. Many times you come back and say, I'm understanding you to say, and then you interpret what you understood them to say. That way it locks in. Did you get the right understanding or not? And if you did not, it gives the person that's giving you information to re-clarify so that you can understand how to implement or how to make use of it. I like that. I like what you just said because that is so critical. All right. So as we start talking about individuals moving forward, what was one of the strategies that we talked about the financial piece, we talked about doing the clarity piece, we talked about getting a mentor. What was one of the maybe the greatest strategies that someone shared with you and that made the biggest impact in your life at this to this point?
There's an acronym that I live by, goals, right? And it's like the first letter is G, going, right? And so
Okay.
that is get up, get moving, get going. And that was the best advice I ever heard. Get up, make a positive move, whether a yard, a foot, an inch, as long as you're moving forward every day, doing something that's moving you or propelling you forward, that's it. So get up and get going. I have a quote that I live by: imperfect action is better than no action in establishing the
Hmm.
life that you want, which means get up and just get going. There's never a perfect time. My God, it was my good friend Gus Farrat, former NFL quarterback for the Washington Redskins, now the Commanders. It took Gus 4 times, almost 3 to 4 months to get me to actually start the Get Authentic with Marcus show. Gus was the reason that I started the show because I was afraid. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, oh my God, how's this going to work? And Gus has said, Marcus, get up, get going, get moving. And I launched it. And we launched June 22nd, our first show of last year. And Maxine, I've gone through a really hard time in the last, since July, not just since June until now. It's just been a lot of things going on personally and just some other this crazy stuff family wise. And it's been rough. But I'll tell you what, we built this podcast in 7.5 months, be in the top 1% in the world, and we're climbing every day. And we're fortunate because we just want authentic people with authentic stories. And we are just getting up every day and moving towards an objective. So I'll give the audience that tip. If you're struggling, if you don't know what to do, it doesn't matter. Get up and get moving. Just figure out what you want to do. If you can't figure that out, just get up and just be positive. Have a great mindset. Be energetic. Be lively. Be grateful. Gratitude is the biggest crusher of ego. You cannot have an ego if you are grateful. It's impossible.
Right. That's
So
right.
get up and just get going. And when I did that with speaking and coaching and consulting and podcasting and my PR work and all these different things, that's when life got better. So I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what you want to do, just get up and get moving right away.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a huge platinum nugget right there. Get up and get going. No matter what it is that you're trying to do, just get up and get going. I want you to take a moment and write that down. I want you to write it with a marker. I want you to write it in big captive letters. And I want you to post it on the refrigerator. I want you to post it on your bathroom mirror. I want you to post it somewhere that you can see it at all times. And it says, get up and get going. Those are actions. That's a strategy and it's an action. And if you execute, you already know what the end results are going to be. You're going to be moving forward and you're going to be doing things that's going to move you toward your purpose. It's going to move you toward achieving your goal. It's going to move you toward becoming level-less. No levels, remember? Remove those levels so you can stop competing. Instead, define what success looks like for you so that you can advocate for yourself and you can continue to succeed on your terms. Marcus, that's what I'm hearing you say that you've been doing. You have been doing that these 8 years that I've known you since 2015, 16.
And
You're
so
right there. You're
and
right
here,
there with it.
and here's an acronym that I live by. Goals. Going objectively after life-changing scenarios. And the one I want to embark on and really study on and really talk about for a second is after, which means go after something relentlessly and endlessly. Pursue it to the end of the earth, go over the cliff, and go to the next part of the earth and go after it some more. Don't stop. Don't quit. And that's what happens. Most people quit in their journey and they never, ever achieve fulfillment and or success because they stopped before they got there. So again, goals, going objectively after life-changing scenarios, after, be relentless and endless in your pursuit. When you have that mentality, great things come your way.
That is awesome. I had someone to ask me probably about a month or so ago, Maxine, why are you still doing what you're doing? It seemed like you're always struggling to get through this door, to get through this challenge. And I'm like, I was given this assignment in 2011. I will continue this assignment until I have no breath left because I know that is it about the money? We do need money to live off of. But I will tell you that the lives that I've touched will continue to live on when I am no longer here on this earth. So you're talking about being relentless. You're talking about continue no matter what till you jump off the end of the earth. I will be here helping our youth, helping individuals who don't know what they're truly gifted at doing every day to discover it, to identify it, to confirm it, so that they can then walk in that purpose. They can have that fulfilled life. They can make the salary that they need and live the life that they deserve. This is what we both here are sitting here talking about doing. That's why we do what we do. We know our why. We know our reason behind our purpose. And ladies and gentlemen, we want you to understand your reason behind your purpose. And if you're at that crossroad and you're not sure, you have individuals out here who are willing You have business coaches, you have mentors, you have supporters, you have people in your organization, in your church, in your community. Look at them, go out, search, make a list of all these individuals that you know. I guarantee that you're going to find someone on that list that you can call even tonight, even tomorrow, that will be willing to sit down and talk with you, to hear you out, and to help you bring your purpose, your mission, your vision to a reality. So don't give up. We haven't given up on you, so don't you give up on yourself. So,
Mhm.
Marcus, what would you add to that?
What I would say is, as long as you believe in you,
There
you
you go.
always have a chance. And it sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. And so that's the only thing that kept me going when I was trying to get going speaking wise in 2013, 14, 15, even 16. I didn't get my first paid job until it's been exactly 7 years this month. Got our first paid job. So I had to believe in myself when nobody else did. And as a result of that, here we are today in what we do. So again, it's very important that you have to have that belief in yourself and keep going no matter what.
No matter what. And write it down. And one of the things that I remember us talking about when you came to speak at a conference that I had, you talked about journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even knew that football players journaled. And as you start describing it, you all journaled probably long before people start really talking about journaling, because you wrote your plays. You wrote what
Mm-hmm.
position if you need to be in at any given time when you were in the huddle or when you already knew the play. So that's a form of journaling, and people do
Mm-hmm.
not don't even realize that. And so when you said it, it like it resonated with me that, see, journaling is not all about just writing a book. It's not all about writing the troubles. You know, you got your good time, you got your challenges, but guess what? You can draw, you can write plays, you can write a football, I don't know what it's called, Marcus, when y'all write, when they have the little crosses and the dots and the
Oh, you got
position
yeah.
supposed to
You can talk
be,
your playbook. You can write
the
like your
playbook.
play your plays playbook. You can tell like your schemes and like you all that stuff. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. So
Yes.
I
So
mean,
there's different things that exactly you can
correct,
use it for.
correct. No, you're 100% correct, Maxine. And
Yeah.
I
Okay.
hope
We had a
people. I
little
hope
delay
people.
right there.
Oh,
But
and
yeah,
I hope
but
people.
so
Yeah, it's there in that regard. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it was just a delay in the communication. That's all. But yeah, but if people start journaling, they can also journal those thoughts that they're having, and in those thoughts, you have a play, you have a game plan, you have a strategy, you have a schematic that you can use. If you would just only start writing down the things that's coming into your spirit, is guiding you on the things that you can start doing for yourself. So that's another nugget that you can use in order to move forward in life and not be stuck or get unstuck.
I
So that
agree.
would be something else. So as we start closing up, so we talked about encouraging, you talked about inspiring, and let's see, there was one other thing that you were going to share with us when it came to tonight. I'm trying to think what it was. I don't forgot, Marcus.
Well, I'll just share this. If you're listening, 5 keys that Aristotle said make a successful leader or business person: your character, provide emotion, provide a reason, talk to people through metaphors, and be concise. Your character is what you do when nobody's looking. It's in how you conduct yourself every step of the way. We want to bring emotion. People need to know that you're excited and passionate about what you do, and that way they know you're not just there to collect a check. Reason. What value do you bring over somebody else that I should hire you over them? Right? And get into metaphors. Talk to people through stories. Rocky Balboa came out in 1974. Here we are in 2023, almost 50 years later. Now we have Creed 3 because people love stories. And the last one is be concise. People have short attention spans. So be efficient and be very concise in how you speak to them. And again, your character, bring emotion, provide reason, tell metaphors, and be concise. Those will help you immensely in your quest to be successful and fulfilled in your journey.
Wow, that is awesome. I mean, you cannot help but to be precise with that. And if you follow that strategy, then success, you're looking at it all day, every day, and any day, anywhere, anytime, any place, is going to happen. So, Marcus, I'm just going to leave you with, as I close, I always say, I believe in you and I trust you believe in yourself. And I love the fact that you said what has kept you going is the fact that you believe. And that is so true. And when it comes to the level is mindset, the model that I put in place, the first thing is to see it, to know it, and the next thing is to believe it. Because you can see where it is you want to go. You can know you have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to get there. But until you believe in yourself, you're not going to move forward.
That's right.
You're stuck.
That's right. You're stuck in that. You're stuck in neutral. You're not moving forward. You're not moving backwards. You're stuck, which is like being in limbo, which is the worst place to ever be.
Yes, yes. And time is not waiting on anyone. You need to tell time where to go and not ask time, where did the time go? You need to tell it where you and how you are using it.
Amen.
So, I mean, I love the fact that thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be my special guest this evening. And
Sure.
thank you for dropping all of these platinum nuggets because, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not move forward, we're going to hold you accountable because you've been given the roadmap. You've been given the playbook. You've been given instructions. And all you need to do is understand and go forth and start using it. So, Mark, our producer, we are getting ready to wrap it up. So, Marcus, are there any upcoming events or at least one event you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I've got three big events that I want to share really quickly. I've got an event coming up in September for Excel, which is at Excel, the clients, the Carson Group, and I'm so excited about that financial planning. Then I have another job coming up with Buckingham Strategic Partners. That's another financial company, and I'm so excited about that. Then I have another one's coming up in May, and that's for Guardian National Life Insurance Company, and that's going to be happening in Boston. I bring those up because I can track all three of those amazing opportunities back to one podcast I did in 2018 when I met my client, Aaron Torito, after he heard me on a podcast. And then Aaron started to kind of get me in with his group in Carson, then Buckingham, and now here we are. We have a great relationship with Carson. We're building a great one with Buckingham. We're building an awesome one with Guardian. But again, I just want to let people know everything you do it with the utmost pride, do it with the utmost precision, because you never know who's listening, you never know who's watching. When Maxine offered me to come, I changed my schedule. I have my daughter and I'm going to go put her to bed here in a minute, but I took time because if someone asks me to be on a podcast or a show, I'm going to do it because you never know who's listening. And I tell my clients, the more you're out there, the more you're visible, it builds your credibility, it builds your brand awareness, and it builds your brand equity. So in closing, never, ever, ever not take a chance or not fulfill an opportunity. Go after it, again, relentlessly and endlessly. It can change your life.
Wow, that is awesome because with podcast TV, Pod TV, we have Pod TV, we have Roku Live, we have Amazon Live, and we stream to over 200 countries. So you are correct. You never know who's watching and how many people are watching because not everyone is going to tell you that they're watching. And you never know how many people will go back and review and look at this podcast and learn from it and take these nuggets and apply it.
Correct.
So I love being able to do what I do because this is my way of giving back to the world to help individuals to have hope, to overcome challenges, to move forward in life, and to use their everyday abilities and strengths so then they can leave a legacy. Because after all, here Levelers, we are transforming generations and we are leaving legacies. So as we close tonight, Marcus, thank you again. I'm going to say, I believe in you and I trust you believe in yourself. So meet me back here next week, same time, same place. I'll see you then. Have a great evening.
Taking a chance.